Good morning, gang. Happy Thursday morning, May 11th. You know what today is? Well, about 6 hours ago, the Title 42 expired. And so that means the border is wide open, guys. So, yes, we can expect a whole bunch of illegals crossing the border and Joe to go, come on in, buddy, no problem. Here, let me buy you a phone and a house and a car and food and give you medical attention and yada, da, 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 right? And who's paying for it? You and me, okay? Just to give you an idea, the president of Venezuela called up one of the congressmen last week and said, oh, hey, just wanted to let you know there's 80,000 people more on the way. There's a caravan starting, okay? So to give you an idea, and it's all fine and dandy that we hear about this, but people really don't put it into play as to what it's costing them out of their pocket. I mean, in cash, all right, greenbacks. How much it costs you to do all this. And maybe the outrage would be a little bit more when you start talking about the amount of money you and I have to spend on all of these people. So I went and I busted down all the numbers and came up with what it's costing us. Now, we could talk about the budget deficit, the debt ceiling, the U.S. debt, everything like that. Where are we paying for all this? We've all talked about constantly how many billions of dollars we're spending to protect the Ukrainian border, but we can't protect our own. We know all those stories. But how much is it costing you, Joe Smith, Joe Average, Ma and Pa Kettle, however you want to call yourself? How much is it costing you? I want to give you this, okay? With Title 42 ending today, we have more states declaring national emergencies. I mean, we already know cities, states, whatever. El Paso's got a national emergency. Chicago's got a national emergency. New York's got a national emergency. It's funny because Chicago and New York, which are well over 1,000 miles away from the border, that's not San Antonio. That's not Houston. That's not Corpus Christi. That's not Tucson. That's not San Diego. Cities that are right on the border. What are they coming up with? All right. So I want to give you this. Kathy Hochul, the idiot in charge of New York, has declared a state of emergency for New York. In this state of emergency, this order allows the city, New York City, not New York State, to deploy more than $1 billion in aid to these migrants, okay, to these illegals, to these illegal aliens. Yes, that's what they're called, okay? I want to give you just a breakdown of how that $1 billion is going to be spent. And you tell me how much of this you get. $741 million for shelter costs, $162 million to support the National Guard presence, $137 million for health care, $26 million for public assistance, $25 million for relocation assistance, $5 million for enhanced support, and $10 million for legal assistance. Oh, we haven't even got into what we're paying for their food or those phones or anything like that we're getting, right? So that's how it comes out. Now, that's $1 billion that's been earmarked for today to be spent. Right now, New York City is housing 36,738 illegal aliens, okay? So if we break that out, all right, that means for each one of those illegals, based on that $1 billion, the taxpayer is footing the bill for each one of them for $27,219. Guys, that's 50% of the average annual income of the United States. So think of this. They're getting aid worth 6 months of the average American's work for free on your dime, okay? For free to Kathy Hochul, but paid for by you and me. So let's take a look at that figure. $27,219 per illegal. Okay. So far, we have an estimated 5 million illegals that have crossed the border in Joe's tenure. If you take $27,219 times 5 million, this is how much we've spent. $136 billion on paying for illegals, okay? Giving them all their free stuff. That works out to, based on the population of the United States, everybody, okay? From the baby that was born this morning to the 102-year-old, however old the oldest person is in the country. Every single person, okay? Means every single one of us so far has had out of our pocket $406.25 gone to pay for illegals. Can you use an extra $400? Okay. But Juan and Maria got it. Okay. You can't have it. You get to do the work. They get the benefits. Okay. So you break this down even more. We are supposed to get 14,000 a day, according to the Border Patrol, right? 14,000 illegals are expected to cross the border a day starting today, not including the 700,000 that are sitting there waiting to come across today, okay? Well, that would be a total of $381,066,000 a day added to your and my bill, or based on the population of the United States, about $1.25 a day is added. Okay, so now take that 406, now it's 407.50 today, 408.75 tomorrow, 410 the next day. Okay, this is how much it's costing us. Let alone, we can add in even more here, let alone the fact that housing, okay, nobody's selling their houses now. Why? Because I've got a 3% mortgage. If I sell my house and go buy something else, I've got a 6% mortgage. I can't afford to get out of that 3% mortgage because I don't qualify for something at 6%. So there's no housing. So what does this mean? This is why we've got to put up all these illegal aliens in hotels or whatever, which means hotels for you and me aren't available if you need to go somewhere. I mean, whether it's a business trip, a vacation, a funeral, whatever it would be, go see grandma. There isn't hotels because the illegals are in them all. Okay? That means our food prices go up because all these illegals gotta eat, right? And you and I get to pay for their food before we can pay for our food, because even as the administration said yesterday, Mayorkas came out, illegals, his quote, illegals have priority over Americans in the Biden administration. That was said by the director of the Department of Homeland Security yesterday, that illegals take precedence over Americans. Just telling you that so you understand this. Okay. All those help wanted signs that you see all over the place. I mean, I know when I drive into town, when I go through Fountain City, every fast food joint, it's got a sign up on their marquee saying, now hiring, now hiring, now hiring, now hiring. Go in and talk to them. And the manager, if he's honest with you, will tell you, corporate told me I have to put that sign up, but I'm not hiring anybody. Okay? Joe's infamous, we've created 7 million jobs. No, you just strong-armed a bunch of CEOs to make it look like the economy's good. But there aren't jobs. But we're going to bring over all these illegals from every country on the face of the earth. For what? So they can be wards of the state, because there is nowhere for them to go to work. I mean, honestly, how many strawberry pickers, how many maids do you think we need? And it's like, oh, well, they could do other jobs. Mrs. P and I were talking about this. Oh, they could be a cab driver. I'm like, I'll be damned if I'm going to sit there with Google Translate on my phone so I can say in English where I want to go in a cab. Let's say I'm in New York City. And so my phone can translate it to the cab driver who doesn't speak English in my country. Okay? I'm sorry. When in Rome, do as the Romans. You know what? You want to come to the United States? Learn to freaking speak English. When Mrs. P got her citizenship test, one of the requirements was she could speak English. They gave her an English test. All these illegals? Nope. They can speak Chinese, they can speak Spanish, Portuguese. Who knows? Okay. They don't have to learn English. They don't have to assimilate to the United States, to the American way of life. All they have to do is come here and get a whole bunch of free money. So guess what they can do with it? Send it back to whatever country that they have. Hey, Juan and Maria, your Uncle Jose wants to come over too. Well, here, I've got a whole bunch of money, but now I'm a anchor illegal and I can now import all my family. Great, just what we need. More people with no skills, no money, no opportunity, so they can come in and do what? Rob from us, steal from us, take our money from us, make more shortages for us. I mean, how much have we already had with supply chain issues, food shortages, clothing shortages, anything shortages? Go look at the shelves on Walmart or wherever you're going shopping and notice that there's 3 things. We were at Walmart yesterday. They've rearranged the store. Why? Because there isn't enough stuff to put on the shelves. So they've moved it around and spread it out, okay? Yeah, because there's not enough. So let's import another 14,000 people a day. Let's bring in another, 4.2 million people a year? Hey, great. By this time next year, we can be talking about Joe's great success of bringing in 10 million illegals. You and I are paying for it. $400 out of each one of our pockets. Mine, my wife's, my daughter's, everybody. You got 3 kids? Well, guess what? Mom, dad, 3 kids. There's 5 of you. That means you guys have kicked in $2,000 for this already. What's that? For a lot of people, that's a month's wages. But Juan and Maria have food and a house and a phone and medical care that you can't afford. Thanks, Joe. Pinball out.